Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, and I want to give them a huge thank you for sponsoring this. I absolutely love their product. That's why I keep working with them. They have thousands upon thousands of video classes based on all sorts of topics, and most of them are creative or creative based, and it is just absolutely fascinating to go through those and find different inspirations for things. I love when I get to do these videos because I get to focus on several key things that I've learned, and I get to go in there and really explore the classes that are available and find something that sparks my interest. This time around, I can offer you guys a first 100 get the 2-month free trial to try out Skillshare and see how you like it. The code for that is YT Danica 6, and I'll have that written down in the description as well as a direct link down there as well. And that'll give you a chance to try it out, see what you like, see what kind of classes you enjoy watching. I love finding ones that are unrelated to what I'm currently working on in a lot of ways because it gets my creativity moving a little bit more. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what I'm doing today. So the class that I ended up deciding to focus on and learn from today is one that was based on designing outfits for your characters. And I absolutely love this topic. When I was younger, that is what I did. I loved coming up with outfits for the characters, and I would make these characters and I would draw their clothes, and that was pretty much everything that I did do. And I found that I don't really do that as much lately. I mean, I put clothes on my characters, but I'm not thinking it through as far as the function of the outfit and who this character is and how it ties with what they're wearing. And there's just so much more in depth that I can go into with it that I'm not. And I'm starting to realize that that's one of the key things that I used to really, really enjoy about art, was creating these characters and then designing them in that way, in the way that reinforced what they were to me. So this is a great opportunity to look back and see what I've been missing in my own work and see how I can figure out how to bring myself back into the inspirations that I used to use and I used to work off of. And the specific class that I'm working off of today is called Costume Design for Comics, Your First Character. And this is by Lori Thomas, aka Cintiq, if you've heard of her. And it was really, really insightful. I love listening to it, especially since she was coming from a perspective of creating characters, obviously to be used in a comic, and the things that you need to pay attention to, things that people focus on often when that's actually not something that needs to be focused on at all. And it was really, really interesting. So I loved that, but I also really loved the way that she talked about working on getting inspiration, but also building up a thought catalog, I guess, of how you're going to attack this character. So in the beginning, she talks about creating these lists of factors about your character, who they are, what their personality's like, what style they have, what type of life they have, what circumstance are they in. There are just so many factors that go into characters that you can figure out that play a critical role in what they're choosing to wear and how that's happening. And that's, I think, one of the things that I love designing outfits for, is that it created this whole story in my mind for this character and how they got there and why they were that way. While really I was just creating a character illustration, I was drawing it, and there's just so much more going on behind the scenes, and it got me a lot more invested in that piece, in that particular character. So it was really fun to be able to go through and plan out what I wanted this character that I'm working on today, what I wanted her to be and what I wanted her function to be. And ultimately I decided that I wanted to do a character that had ties between a little bit more of a sci-fi way that she was dressing, but also a very nomadic look, or slightly eclectic. Nomadic isn't quite the right word, but I wanted her to feel active and independent. I wanted her to look like she had places to go and she was going to take herself there and take care of herself. So there were several key aspects that I needed to get right for her. So I needed her to have sturdy shoes that weren't like high heels, but I still wanted them to be stylish and have certain details that were a little bit more sci-fi or interesting. So that was one of the key things that I was focusing on. I also wanted it to feel very layered, but also in like a street fashion style kind of a way. So it's not it's not something that she totally avoids looking good and looking the way that she wants, but it was still function came first, and then style was the secondary thing that just supported it. So as I was designing it, there was just a lot of thoughts as far as, okay, what type of reference can I find that'll give me that look, and what things can I figure out for my reference. I do find that I struggle a lot with getting too into looking at reference, and I found, and it's not just with this piece, but pretty much every piece that I do, I get into a mindset where I feel like I need to find that perfect reference. I kind of have something in my mind, and it's just like, okay, I have to find that photo of that exact pose or of that exact piece of clothing, and I can't start working on it until I have that. And that's really not helpful at all for me, for working, for getting it done. It's also really stifling and frustrating when I sit there looking for something and then I realize I don't need to find that exact reference. I can use my own imagination in combination with these other references. So that was a good reminder today. I started going down this weird rabbit hole, and then I realized that's something that I do, and I need to stay on top of myself and not let myself do that, to fall into these traps of endlessly searching for references. I do find that when I start to recognize that, it definitely pushes me more into a much more creative realm. When I'm looking at reference that shows me, say, how clothing would form in a particular position, in a particular type of fabric, and the way that it's folding, but the actual design is something that's still a little bit up in the air, I get a lot more creative with how I exactly design it, but I still have enough in the reference to be able to know and accurately portray that. This was also a very good reminder that perseverance is a virtue that I have kind of forgotten when it comes to art. So I did the first set of character design, clothing designs at the very beginning of this video, where I had that first set of 4. And then I moved on to the next set of 4. And towards the end of the first set of 4, I was starting to think that I was ready to move on. I was going to use one of those, but ultimately I decided I wasn't quite satisfied with it. But I almost went with one of those. And once I worked on the next 4, I was much happier with the silhouette of it, as well as the simplicity of it. I found that with the first 4, I was focusing too much on the details, but the actual silhouette of the character and the larger shapes that built up her clothing, they were pretty typical and not very dynamic or interesting or unique. So I was just adding all these extra belts and buckles and bracelets, and it was just a lot of details that felt like it was making it more interesting or more designed or more unique, but in the end, really, it was just kind of cluttering it up. So when I worked on the second half of them, I focused more on, again, the shapes that built up the clothing that she was wearing, and I tried to find silhouettes and shapes that were more unique. And I was much, much happier with those outcomes, where I was being a little bit more careful about why I was making specific design choices. And that's something that I'm trying to get better at, figuring out why I'm putting something down and not just mindlessly putting something down. I'm trying to analyze what choices I'm making and how can that be as strong as possible, and what things can I do a lot better. And that's one of them, is paying attention to the silhouette of things and the shape of things first before I start worrying about the details. And that is a huge part of character design and figuring out the characters. So this was definitely something that I need to work on more of. I was a lot happier with that second set of them, but it's still a long way for me to go as far as feeling really solid and comfortable with creating really dynamic character designs. And it was really refreshing just to work on a painting that was just a character and just focusing on her clothing and the color palette that she was going to have. I also really enjoyed working with so many grays. I don't think I do that nearly enough. I love grays, but I think that I tend to really completely avoid neutrals in my pieces, and I think that's a mistake. I would like to get more strength out of the saturated colors that I do use, so I think moving forward I'd like to be a little bit more attentive as far as the distribution of neutrals to saturated colors. But But I did just really enjoy working on a watercolor painting of a character and just having fun with it and letting it be something really simple and pleasant. And that is it for today. Don't forget to check out Skillshare. And again, that code is YTDanica6. And that'll give the first 100 people a 2-month free trial to try it out and see if you like it. But again, the link is down in the description as well. And I do want to give a really quick little update / announcement. I want to thank everyone who did support me through the sale that I had at my shop a little while ago. That was absolutely amazing. And the support that you showed me has completely blown me away. And because there are so many, I am a little bit backed up, but I will be getting the final shipments out within the next couple of days. So if you haven't received it yet or received your tracking number, you will be getting it very soon, I promise. It's my #1 priority right now. So that is about it. I do have a link to my store, speaking of which, in the description, as well as a list of all the tools that I use to create the painting. But that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on Saturday for my next video.